Breakfast is on me this morning.
Mr. Snyder, aren't you the sport?
You're looking lovely as usual, Mrs. Marsh.
Why, thank you very much.
May I sit down?
You know, it's amazing, Mr. Snyder, how your disposition seems to improve when Dr. Goldstone goes out of town for a couple days.
I think I'm feeling good just because I don't have Dr. Goldstone to contend with, huh?
Yes.
As a matter of fact, I'm feeling good because I have just pulled off the publicity plum of the year. Norma Ryan is doing a book on New North.
That's the chick that did the book on the migrant workers.
She also did one on Vietnam.
Why don't you talk her into doing a book about us?
Serendipity, Doctor. See, her brother is checking into the hospital tomorrow to have an operation on his foot. She's coming back to the States. She's going to visit him. And I talked her into doing a book. We've given her free reign of the hospital. She can go anywhere she wants, and she can speak to anybody she wants.
We. Does we include Dr. Goldstone?
I was thinking maybe one of you might like to tell the doctor.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, well, Sam.
Thanks for breakfast, Mr. Snyder. It's been a pleasure, but that's not our line of work.
Dr. Goldstone will be unhappy with my ideas, ain't it?
Now, Mr. Snyder, if he isn't consulted first, he's going to go through the ceiling. Now, you know that.
That's a shame, Doctor. You see, her brother checks into the hospital tomorrow, and the resident has assigned you to the case. So I just think I'll let you tell Dr. Goldstone.
Is this?
Self is fine. Prozine 500.
400. Williams' release.
You know, I haven't been in the hospital since I had my tonsils out when I was a kid. Things sure have changed since then.
For better or worse?
Better. You know, I seem to respond to the nurses a little bit differently now than when I was age 9.
Well, that's a wholesome sign. Margaret, could I have the Ryan chart?
You know, Doctor, I'm really not timing this operation very well.
Huh?
I had mononucleosis about 3 months ago, and I should have had the operation then. But I put it off, you know. And now I feel great, and I've got to be tied down in a hospital bed.
Well, the operation's tomorrow, and you'll be on crutches within a week. I wouldn't call that tied down. Andy, chair.
Wheelchair? Is that for me? I walked in here, you know.
Yes, well, Mr. Ryan, medical science has solved many mysteries, but we still haven't figured out why perfectly healthy people have to ride around in wheelchairs. We just know they do. That's
You're really serious, aren't you?
If you'll sit down,
That's
sir.
an archaic thing, Doctor. I shouldn't have to ride around in a wheelchair.
Don't mind.
Will you be sure my sister's going to hear about this particular madness, and it's going to be chapter 1 in her book.
What'd she do?
Today. Tomorrow, maybe. When she gets here, you'll know about it.
I'm sure I will, but there are some other people that have to be notified.
Doctor?
Morning, Doctor. Andy, would you take Mr. Ryan to 311?
What's this? Abandoned by my doctor? I'm going to tell Norma that's going to be chapter 2.
Gonna tell him now?
Yeah, I'm going to tell him now.
Coward dies many deaths, brave man but once.
Once is enough, Hardin.
Come in. Just about a minute. Goldstone's gonna come charging out of that office like a wounded water buffalo.
30 seconds.
Oh. My last quarter says a minute.
All right, you're on. Greg is now telling Goldstone about the lady who's going to write a book. Goldstone is asking Greg to please repeat those facts. Greg is repeating the facts, telling Goldstone that he had nothing to do with it. And now...
John Snyder in today?
No, sir. His wife called, said he had the flu.
If he's lucky, he'll die. Are you sure Snyder gave this woman free rein in this hospital?
That's right, sir. Talk to anybody, go anywhere.
We'll see about that.
Pardon me, gentlemen. I have to take a blood sample.
I think Goldstone has the same idea.
Newfound wealth.
Think I'll take a trip to Canada.
Hear from the draft board, did you?
Dr. Curtis. Excuse me.
Hi, Sam. Oh, I'm sorry.
Could you tell me what room my brother's in? David Ryan, he checked in this morning.
Yes, Miss Ryan, your brother's in 311.
How'd you know it was Miss?
It had to be.
As you can see, your reputation has preceded you.
Well, did they tell you or warn you not to talk to me?
No.
No, not at all.
Well, that's good, because I will be wanting to talk to you.
Well, you'll probably want to talk to the residents. We're just, interns.
Well, there's a lot I can learn from an intern.
Like what?
Well, whether or not all those stories are true about interns and nurses.
Well,
You did say 311, didn't you?
Yes.
What are you smiling at?
I'm the married one. Are those stories true?
Read a book and find out.
Was it diagnosed as mononucleosis?
No. I said it was mononucleosis.
You did.
Yeah, I did. There was no doctor around. We were way out in the boondocks. We were collecting marine biology specimens, actually. And there weren't any girls around for miles. Don't they say that mono is supposed to be the kissing disease?
Yeah, well, that's one way to get it, yeah. Tell me, Mr. Ryan, how long did you have these symptoms?
3 or 4 weeks I felt weak. But I was up in the mountains, and I felt the altitude might have caused that. Anyway, whether it was mono or not, it was some kind of bug.
Well, that's possible, yes.
But I feel great now. I really do. The only problem is this foot. If you could operate on that and get me out as soon as possible.
Well, I won't be the one who operates, Mr. Ryan, but I'll try to see that you're out by the end of the week.
All right, I appreciate it. Thank you.
Excuse me.
Norma!
David?
Hey!
Who are you?
David? You should get a load of that, David.
If you two will excuse me, I'll...
Oh, no, doctor. Norma, this is Dr. Pettit, my doctor.
Hello.
How do you do?
But he's not a full-fledged doctor, David. He's an intern, right?
All right, yeah.
You see, doctors wear the lab coats and the interns wear the monkey suits. Right again?
You're right again. Well, it sounds like your book will be factual, if nothing else.
It'll be more than factual, Doctor. It'll be truthful, if nothing else.
Miss Ryan, I didn't mean it that way. I'm sorry. What I meant was that it...
Doctor, you don't have to apologize. Norma just takes a traffic signal turning red as a sign of a conspiracy against her personally.
Well, anyway, I'm sorry.
Of course.
Of course. Bye.
Goodbye, Doctor. Norma.
You look marvelous.
Great. I feel great, except for my dumb foot.
Bad taste in bathrobes.
Come here. Sit down. Let's talk. You know, after 2 years, you would think we could find something to say to each other.
Oh, David, I'm just so bad visiting people in the hospital. All I can think of are cliches.
That's all right. Give me some cliches.
Cliche number 1. You look great. How do you feel?
I feel fine, thanks. Cliche number 2.
Are you still collecting fish? Clams, little squirmy things?
I am still studying marine biology, if that's what you mean.
Well, that's nice. I'm happy for you.
Cliche number 3.
No, I really meant that. I am happy for you.
Is Norma ever happy about herself?
What was that supposed to mean?
Just that you gotta let yourself go sometime, have some fun. Have a good time. Have a bad time.
David, I'm much too busy to have a good time or a bad time for that matter.
You see.
Can I get you anything? Do you need anything?
No. Except maybe someone to talk to.
Dave Ryan's blood sample.
Thank you, Doctor.
Louise, how long will that take to clear?
First thing in the morning, Doctor.
Well, what if we put a stat on it?
Sometime this evening.
Put a stat on it.
Okay, Doctor.
This town's not big enough for both of us, Eddie.
Hey, shouldn't you call Bobby? It's getting kind of late.
I'm a confirmed pool-alcoholic. She's come to accept that. Besides which, you're into me for a quarter. She'll certainly accept that. Interns dorm, Minnesota Marsh speaking. Yeah, just a minute, I get him.
Greg Pettit, telephone.
Okay, that 3-ball is as good as in.
Show
Folks, as good as in. Right.
And
Who is it?
Right.
It's in.
Nurse's station on 3.
No problem.
Try the 6.
Try the 6.
Try the 8.
No, the 6. 6 is the shot. 6
Just
is
a
the
minute.
shot.
Could you... Yeah, keep it down.
Are they sure? All right, Sarah, let me know when they know for certain one way or the other, will you? Yeah, thanks.
Hey, Greg. What is it?
The lab has Dave Ryan's blood tests. I think he may have leukemia.
So it's definite then.
Yes, it is.
So what David thought was mononucleosis?
Those were the first symptoms. Then he apparently went into a state of remission.
That's where he stands now?
Well, according to the white count, he's headed for a relapse.
Well, does that mean he's going to die or what?
Oh, with leukemia, there's no hard, fast rules. Some drugs work beautifully with some people. With others, they don't do anything at all.
Doctor, I realize there's no certainty in a matter like this, but I would like to have some idea of what I've got to look forward to. What my brother's got to look forward to.
Well, if we had the right drug, it's possible that David would have quite a few years left.
Possible, but not likely.
Not likely at all.
Dr. Goldstone, room 224. Dr. Goldstone, please.
Excuse me, please.
Does David know?
No, he doesn't. I'll tell him.
I want to tell him. I'd like you to be there, though, to answer any technical things he wants to know.
Of course.
Tomorrow morning?
Yes, just page me when you get here.
Certainly going to change the complexion of my book.
She really said that?
So help me, those were the words. Change the complexion of my book.
Oh, man, she really must be something.
That's it. That's the term. Something. She's not a person. She's not a woman. She's a thing. Cold-blooded.
Greg?
Yeah.
Greg, have you ever read any of her books?
No, I haven't. I don't care to either.
Well, there was a part of one about Vietnam. She described walking into this village that was directly between enemy lines. It was heavily bombed and shelled by both sides. There was hardly anyone left alive, no women, children. It was the strangest thing.
Why strange, honey?
I don't know. While she walked through the village and she described what she saw and what she found, I kept getting the feeling that there was something missing from her description. And I just realized what it was. She never showed any emotion. She never once mentioned whether or not she cried.
She didn't cry, believe me. She didn't cry.
How hard that must be.
How hard she must be.
Maybe. But that's exactly what you guys are doing too, isn't it? I mean, you're always saying now it's not very good to get too involved.
That's objectivity, honey.
Well, that's exactly what she's doing, isn't it?
Is it? We're doctors and human beings. We have to strive for objectivity. But if you ever make it, if you ever get 100% uninvolved, then you're in big trouble.
No, that's true. Anyway, I don't envy you, Greg. I mean, I don't envy you having to be with her tomorrow when she tells her brother what he's got.
Well, I don't envy me either, Roberta. I'm just grateful she didn't decide to send a telegram.
Dr. Pettit. just heard about Miss Ryan's brother. It's too bad. Have you talked with her yet?
No, I was on my way.
Well, look, when you do, why don't you just suggest to her that if she wants to drop the book, we'd all understand perfectly.
No hard feelings, right?
Right, there you go. That's right.
Why don't you tell her yourself?
Well, you're a sign of the case. I figured coming from you would seem a little more medical, like, you're worried about the strain on her,
And if Dr. Goldstone should ask you if you talked to Miss Ryan, you could say no and be perfectly honest about it, right?
Right, that's right.
And if she should decide to drop the book, then Goldstone would be a great deal happier with you, right?
Pettit, for a young man, you catch on pretty quickly.
Yes, I do, Mr. Snyder. I do catch on quick. I catch on to the fact that you're trying to use me and a critically ill patient to your own advantage. I catch on to the fact that you try to sell tickets to an autopsy if you thought I would sell newspaper space for this hospital. And I catch on to the fact that you're a sad, frightened little man. And you should be.
Look, interner, no, you don't talk to me that way.
But he just did. Hello, Mr. Snyder.
Morning, Snyder.
Dr. Pettit? If you have time now, I think we ought to go see David.
Of course.
Excuse us.
Yeah, yes.
Thank you
For what?
for standing up to them.
Them. Mrs. Snyder.
You'll see, Doctor. You'll see.
Then there's no way out, is that it?
There's no cure, if that's what you mean. We might have another remission. Yes. And even if we do find a drug that cuts down the white count, there is the danger of infection. These drugs do have a tendency to weaken the body's immunization factors.
You mean like a cold could turn into pneumonia?
Mm-hmm.
David, what do you feel? Emotionally, I mean.
I feel scared.
Angry?
I just feel terribly alone all of a sudden.
Excuse me.
I'll be right back. What if David has more questions?
You seem to be the one asking all the questions.
That's just because of my book.
Your book? What about your brother? Don't you care about him?
Of course I do.
Well, he's dying, lady, and he needs your help. He doesn't have to be picked apart like something under a microscope.
Doctor, when there's to be a transplant, isn't your main concern the well-being of the living?
Mm-hmm.
So is mine. And this book will live a lot longer than my brother.
I'll be in the lounge if Dave has any more questions.
Excuse me, Doctor. We found this in the library. It's yours, isn't it?
Well, not what the initials NR, I don't think, do you? Probably belongs to Norma Ryan. I'll see that she gets it, okay?
Thank you.
You're welcome.
There is, they say, no way to predict the occurrence of remissions with any certainty. Whether or not this is true, of course, I will find out with the facilities available here in the medical library. I will not be surprised to find out it to be a lie, like all the other lies I've been told. I feel certain the hospital is trying to murder David. To be a lie, like all the other lies I've been told. I feel certain the hospital is trying to murder David.
I know just how you feel, man. I couldn't believe it myself.
You sure it was her voice?
Her voice, her recorder. I played the tape 3 times to make sure I got it right.
You know, this isn't going to stand up with Goldstone.
I know, but what was I supposed to do? I heard a woman say that she thinks we're trying to murder her brother and just ignore it, or what?
No. I feel certain the hospital is trying to murder David.
Let's just ask her. Let's just confront her, huh?
Well, if we do that, then she'll ask us how we found out. And either I'd have to lie or put you on the spot.
Look, I've been on that spot before, man. But it's your decision.
Won't work, Pooch.
Sorry, Miss Ryan. This is the one place you're not allowed free reign. No photographs here.
No room for an exception?
Not here.
Pity.
How's your brother doing?
He's doing all right. They're starting him on cytarabine, and they ought to know how it works by the end of the week.
Very good. Congratulations, by the way.
And what?
Being here. Most laymen don't handle this sort of thing very well.
I've just returned from 2 years in a war zone, Doctor. I'm used to death.
Dave, I know you're awfully tired, but I've got some questions here I'd like to ask you if you don't...
Oh, no, I'm not tired. That's a good sign, isn't it?
It ain't bad.
Fire away.
Okay, see, it says here your mother died 8 years ago, is that right?
Yeah, it was her heart.
Natural causes. Your father?
He had an auto accident. He was driving home from the university. He taught journalism. He just blanked out, I guess, went head on into an embankment.
Dave, I'd like to ask you something. Is there any history of mental illness in your family?
Mental illness? What has that got to do with anything? I mean, I'm lying here with leukemia, Doctor. You think it's psychosomatic?
Oh, it's psychosomatic. I don't think it's psychosomatic. Look, Dave. I'm not talking about you. I'm talking about your sister. I'm worried about her.
About Norma? You gotta be kidding.
No, I'm not kidding. I can't tell you why I'm worried, but I am. And, it's not going to help anybody if she can't stand up under the strain of all this, right?
All this? By all this, you mean me dying?
Oh, come on, David. You look very much alive to me. We haven't given up, don't you?
All right, fair enough. Anyway, you don't need to worry about Norma. She can take anything. She can, and she always has.
Well, how's that?
I don't know, early, way back, she, lots of things.
Like what?
Well, like when my father died. I was about 5, I guess 6. It's kind of a blur in my mind. I don't remember very much about it, but I'll never forget how impressed I was by Norma.
Impressed?
Yeah. You see, she never cried. I mean, my mom broke down. I was crying. Everybody was crying. Norma never shed a tear.
Never cried.
I don't know what it was. She just had herself under control. She has kind of a buffer around herself. And she has a fantastic imagination. She actually told me that she felt that they killed my father.
They killed him? What did she mean by that?
Well, she didn't say anybody specifically, but look, she was 13, I was 5. She might have been just making up a story to scare her little brother, you know. But, no, you don't have to worry about Norma. She can take anything. She keeps it all inside. Every last bit of it.
Yeah, well, I just wondered. Well, thank you, Dave. I'll tell you what, I'll be back later, and I'll see you then, all right?
Right. But, you know, in a way, I wish she wasn't like that.
Why?
Because if I don't make it, I mean, if I die, my mom's gone. Norma's the only sister I've got.
And that means there'll be no woman to weep at the graveside. And that's very sad. For me. But it's also very sad for her.
Yeah. See.
Dr. Robert Crow. Calling Dr. Crow.
Oh, doctor?
Morning, Miss Ryan.
Good morning. I've mimeographed some questionnaires, and I've been asking all the hospital staff if they would answer them. Would you mind?
Sure.
Thank you. Is it all right to see David now?
Yeah, go ahead.
Would you? Thank you.
Miss Ryan, you're not serious about this, are you?
I don't understand what you mean.
I mean, these questions here, like, do you have any knowledge of mercy killings that are covered up? Or to what degree do you feel interns utilize pep pills to maintain their schedules?
Doctor, the questionnaire is anonymous. It won't get you into any trouble.
Miss Ryan, a stab in the back is anonymous, too.
Oh, Dr. Pettit, have they gotten to you, too? When I saw you arguing with Mr. Snyder, I said to myself, well, here is someone that I can really count on, someone who's not afraid. I guess I was mistaken.
I argued with Snyder because he was trying to weasel out of a commitment to you. I thought you deserved a chance. I'm not so sure now.
Why? Because I won't make my book into an advertisement for the medical establishment?
No, that's not the reason. It's the other side of the same coin, this question about interns and pep pills. Yeah. One was caught using them last year. He was canned out of here in the profession. I'm sure that little tidbit will be in your book. What about the 50 other guys that work their tails off 7 days a week? Will they be in your book?
Dr. Pettit, if interns are that overworked, isn't it conceivable?
We do make mistakes. And I'm making one right now, talking to you. When am I going to stop making a fool of myself about things like that?
Greg, you did what you could. What else was there?
I don't know, something. I mean, it's all right to believe all that garbage when you're a kid, but when you get older...
Whoa, what garbage?
All that stuff about if you pick somebody's brain or if you get some honest idea of what they're all about, then everything will work itself out.
Oh, yeah. So?
Well, I tried to pick that lady's brain, and it didn't work itself out.
Yeah, but you know, the information you got, you were getting from Dave, and he wasn't quite telling you the whole truth.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, well, I'm not saying he's lying, of course, but he was rather young when his father was killed, and he probably wasn't told what a lot of people were thinking.
Like what?
Like, it was a long time ago. It was, I think, in the early 50s when her father was killed, and I think it was the night before that he was asked to show cause why he shouldn't be fired from the university.
Why'd they want to fire him?
It's an old story. Belonged to some organizations in the 30s that became a sin in the 50s. Anyway, a lot of people thought he took the high side on his own rather than face that kind of inquisition.
So as far as Norma's concerned, there was a they. Somebody responsible for her father's death, right?
I also think I'd be willing to pursue this a little if you want to humor me.
Shoot.
Okay, it's all speculation. I can't back up a word of what I'm saying, so just between the three of us.
All right.
I have to keep telling myself there's nothing more dangerous than a little bit of knowledge about a complicated subject, and there's nothing more complicated than the human mind, but I can't help but see a pattern in this woman. Let's say, for example, that her father was pressured and he did commit suicide. She's got someone to blame, but no way to punish, right? So what does she do? She becomes a reporter, in effect, following in her father's footsteps. If you remember, he was a professor of journalism. But she's more than a reporter, isn't she? She's a crusader. She finds causes. That thing with the organized crime, she got into that with both feet. The labor dispute, she took a side in that. Southeast Asia, she found her villains. Everything she does. And now her brother is dying, and she can't find anyone to blame.
Do you think she really believes we're trying to murder her brother?
I think she thought so when she said it. Next morning, she probably thought she was being melodramatic.
Sam, that kind of
behavior is psychotic, or borderline psychotic at least.
Yeah, I know. That's why I say it's just between the three of us.
Interns Lounge. Yeah, this is Dr. Pettit. Friday, 10 o'clock? All right, I'll be there. Well, Samuel, looks like your little theory is taking shape. Norma talked to Snyder, and Snyder's trying to get me canned off the staff. I think she found her villain.
Oh, that's right.
Pettit, I think you know everybody here.
Oh, yes, sir, I do.
For those not familiar with our procedure, let me fill you in. Pettit, you're not on trial as a man or as a doctor. But a member of our board, Mr. John Snyder, says that you've held New North Hospital up to public ridicule. I think you deserve a chance to answer that charge.
Well, Doctor, if I'm not on trial here, then what happens if the board decides that I did hold the hospital up to public ridicule?
Well, there'll be a reprimand on your record.
I'm glad to hear I'm not on trial.
Okay, John, let's hear it.
Well, it's a fairly simple matter, seems to me. This hospital gave its word to Miss Norma Ryan that it would open its doors to her. This became a public position when I saw to it that it received some notice in the papers.
A position I opposed.
Well, it's true, Peter, but you never tried to hinder Miss Ryan. As a matter of fact, I recall a very cordial luncheon the three of us had. If I'm not mistaken, you paid for that luncheon.
You're trying to say that Pettit hindered Miss Ryan in her work?
Miss Ryan or anybody trying to attempt to help her?
How did I do that?
Well, there was any number of sarcastic remarks made to me personally, but I can pass those by. What Dr. Pettit thinks about me has nothing to do with all of this. He can think whatever he wants. Although I might note in passing that regardless of his feelings about me, the lobby of this hospital is hardly the place to express those feelings. Public ridicule, I believe, was the phrase.
Pettit?
Yes, sir. Some of that is true. I was sarcastic, and it did happen in the lobby. But it wasn't exactly the screaming rage that Mr. Snyder here would have you believe.
Any motive for your sarcasm?
Yes, sir. Mr. Snyder tried to talk me into asking Miss Ryan to give up her book.
That's a lie, Peter. That's a lie. That's an absolute lie. You're the one who's been trying to stop Miss Ryan from writing the book. You're the one who's been doing that, and I'm going to see to it that you don't avoid that responsibility. So it's a lie. Not as simple as that.
All right. Please. We'll take a coffee break for a half hour. When we return, the meeting will be more restrained. If not, we will break for lunch. Be back here in 1/2 hour.
Miss Ryan is very sorry that this had to happen.
How am I doing? Doctor, how am I doing?
I'm sorry.
How am I doing?
Oh, beautiful.
If you keep telling lies like that, Pinocchio, you're never going to grow up to be a real boy.
You just concentrate on getting some sleep.
Be lots of time for that later. Doctor, do you know anything about marine biology?
Mm-mm.
There are certain animals, single-celled animals, that have to die before you can see them. I mean, just putting them underneath a microscope, that's what kills them. But in order to see them, you've got to do that. To know what they are, to know what they're made of, what they look like. You think it's that way with people?
How do you mean?
I mean, do you suppose that by dying, I mean, how we handle it, that gives God or whatever a better look at us? That it lets God know more about us?
I don't know, Dave. That's a nice thought.
I want it to count for something.
You want it to count for something?
What I'm going through now, what's happening, I want this to count. I want it to make a difference, you know what I mean? I never made any great scientific discoveries. I never invented a cure for the cold or a better mousetrap or like that. You suppose I could, with what I have, I could donate something? Like an eye or a heart?
No, Dave, I'm sorry.
I wouldn't mind it so much if I really wouldn't mind if I felt that it was doing some good. That it was if what's happening to me was helping somebody. Dying ought to help somebody to have more life.
Well, initially, it was really more of an attitude on Dr. Pettit's part, sort of an implied disapproval of my presence here in the hospital. Certainly something I could handle, but it just didn't stop there.
What do you mean, Miss Ryan?
Well, the first thing he did was to go to my brother, a man who was seriously ill, and cast aspersions on my mental stability.
Is this true, Pettit?
I did ask some questions, sir, yes. Some questions about her mental health, right? Well, you don't have to answer that. You're not under oath.
I'll answer.
You don't have to. You're not under oath.
Mr. Snyder, you're talking to a doctor on the staff of this hospital. I'll thank you to keep that in mind.
Oh, I'm sorry, Peter. I apologize.
All right, Pettit.
I did ask Miss Ryan's brother about her mental state.
Have you reason to believe her mental state is anything out of the ordinary?
No, sir. Nothing worth going into.
And didn't you tell me there was improper use of drugs among interns, and then to go on to say that it was a mistake telling me that?
I did.
You said that after the hospital asked everybody to cooperate with her? I mean, you said that?
Well, yes, I did.
Well, if that's not hindering, Miss Ryan, I don't know what is. What's left to say?
A lot. Dr. Goldstone, if you don't mind, I've been answering questions, but I'd like to ask a few, if you don't mind, sir.
Certainly, go right ahead.
Miss Ryan, do you feel that I or anybody employed in this hospital has ever tried to harm you or anybody close to you?
Well, I certainly feel that you've tried to stop me from writing my book.
Well, that answers part of the question. What about somebody close to you? Do you think we're trying to hurt your brother, for example?
Oh, I don't think anyone at New North has anything against David.
No, I asked you if you thought we were trying to hurt him.
I doubt it.
You doubt it, but you do think I'm trying to hurt you, don't you?
Yes. I don't know why, but I do.
You do? Do you own a tape recorder?
Oh, you know I do.
What difference does it matter if she owns a tape recorder? If she
I
does
would
or she
like to
doesn't?
answer, Mr. Snyder. Yes, I do. I do happen to own a tape recorder. It was given to me by some soldiers I wrote about in Southeast Asia. I'm very proud of it.
You take notes with it, don't you?
Yes, I do, because I'm a good reporter.
I'm sure of that.
And good reporters make enemies, don't they, Doctor? Isn't that what you were alluding to, my concern for my brother? Well, I am concerned. I mean, how do I know that someone isn't going to try to strike back at me through Davy? And I don't mean all of you here. I really don't. And most of you are kind, decent people, but I can't take a chance on most. I mean, most of the roads outside of Saigon didn't have landmines on them, but I saw what happened when one did. And most of our bombs did not fall short, but I was there when one did. Well, and I really do know what it is like. And when you start counting on what happens most of the time, you give them a chance. You give them a chance to trick you, to hurt you, to kill you.
Miss Ryan, it's your brother. You'd better hurry.
I'm sorry.
Was there any pain?
No, he just slipped away.
Did he say anything? I mean, before he died.
He was aware of what was happening to him. He said he wanted it to help.
Thank you, Doctor.
Norma. Your brother said something to me once. He said that he didn't think that you'd weep at his graveside. And that made him sad. Sad for him and you.
Well, Davy's right. I wouldn't cry. I'm not that kind of person. I look and I watch and I see what everybody else feels, but I don't.
Oh, Doctor. Yeah, what? I got a postcard from Miss Ryan. She's still working on her book. It's due in the spring.
That's very nice. I got a letter, too.
From Norman?
No, John Snyder. His resignation.
Oh, gone but not forgotten.
Oh, Dr. Goldstone, if Miss Ryan's book becomes a big success and they decide to make it into a movie, who would you like to play you?
Well, I don't know the actor's name, but he looks like a cop.